It's NHSN Radio on the Northern Highlands Sportsnet.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Northern Highlands radio show, the JAB radio show. I'm Anthony Ironzone, joined with J.R. Wally and Brian Barron. So, how about those New York Jets, Jets? Are they for real? Can a 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers really take the Jets all the way to the Super Bowl? I mean, he has all the weapons for it. They got both of his guys in Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb, who could play more of a role than people think. He has a fantastic defense with one of the best up-and-coming players in the league in Sauce Gardner, and they have a great leader in Robert Saleh. We have New York Jets beat writer Al Anazone from Newsday, who may or may not be my father, joining the show later on to talk all things Jets.
How about them Cowboys? Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore for a couple fists and a six. Holy steal. You kidding me? We all ask this every year, but I'll do it again. Is this the year Dak brings home the sixth Lombardi to Dallas? Turning in a solid draft, the Cowboys filled a lot of holes in their roster, from getting a space eater in the first round for the middle of their defense in the form of defensive tackle, to being able to fill shoes to Dalton Schultz with a Michigan tight end and Luke Schoonmaker, and also a Texas speedy linebacker. This is a revamped Cowboys team ready to compete in the stacked NFC East. Their biggest threat is still obviously Philly, but if they can get past them, the sky's the limit.
And before we talk about Philly, I just want to announce that the phone lines are open, and we are taking your calls later on. The number is 201-327-8700. Press 0 and ask for extension 224 or 225. Again, that's 201-327-8700. Press 0 and ask for extension 224 or 225. So the Eagles, I mean, yes, they are obviously the biggest threat. They had a fantastic offseason. Both Pennsylvania teams had a fantastic offseason. I may be a little biased because I'm a Steelers fan, but let's look at this for a second. Philly re-signed Slay, Fletcher Cox, James Bradbury, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, and Lane Thomas. They also signed Rashad Penny, running back, and my guy Trotman from Steelers, but their draft is where it really stands out. They got Jalen Carter at 9. They moved up one spot with Chicago, traded a fourth-round pick to get Jalen Carter. Didn't move at all to get Nolan Smith at 30, who I had going at 13 to the Packers and who many people had going in their top 15. They got Keely Ringo at 104, who dropped way too far than he should have. And then in day 3, they traded for DeAndre Swift. Absolutely incredible. And the Steelers, they did a great job in both free agency and the draft. They signed Patrick Pierce from Minnesota, Cole Holcomb, and Landon Roberts, Isaac Ciomelo, the guard from Philly, who's going to play a big role in that offense. They traded for Allen Robinson, which was very under the radar. No one really saw that. And their draft, they traded up from 17 to 14 with New England, got Broderick Jones, a tackle from Georgia, screwed over the Jets, who had 15. Bill Belichick trades back with the Steelers because, of course, he wants to screw over the Jets. Joey Porter Jr. at 32, Darnell Washington at 93. I mean, these Pennsylvania teams did a fantastic job this offseason, and don't be surprised if they're in the thick of things in January.
Yeah, like the Philly GM is just
Howie
crazy.
Roseman.
Unbelievable.
Just wants to do anything. He'll do anything to win. And also, I really wanted the Cowboys to get Darnell Washington, but they got Schoonmaker.
No way Washington should have fell to 93. No way.
He shouldn't have.
Yeah, the Cowboys also, in my opinion, had a pretty good offseason. Their wide receiver, Brandon Cooks, obviously from Houston, like just a great steal for just a 5th-round pick and a 2024 6th-round pick. They also signed Tony Pollard using their franchise tag. He did get hurt, though, in the 49ers divisional playoff game, but he should be fine. I think he'll be fine. They also got a little on the older side, Stephon Gilmore corner, but he's still pretty good. He's been locking up like all the good corners lately. Like last year, it was the last play of the game, like the Broncos or something, and he locked up
Thursday Night Football.
Locked up Sutton on that slant and got it out. They did release Ezekiel Elliott, which is a little sad. Him and Dak, like that connection's
I think that was a good
gone.
move, though.
Not a lot of energy, but they will gain like $10 million in cap when he's like fully cut in June. They also had a great draft. They got Mozzie Smith, which is a surprise. No one really thought they were going to take a D tackle in the first round. Schoonmaker, he's a pretty big tight end. He's 6'5". He had a fast 40. DeMarvion Overshown from Texas is like a typical like crazy linebacker. He's so fast. You could watch his tape. He just gets through the line and like tackles people so like efficiently. Deuce Vaughn they got in the 6th, which is crazy, from Kansas State.
Love that pick.
Yeah,
he's going to play a big role.
He's only 5'6", like 170 pounds, but he's so fast. He had over 1,500 rushing yards last season, and he was 12th in all-purpose yards per game.
They have 2 Tony Pollards. Vaughn is the second Tony Pollard. The Cowboys had a fantastic offseason. I don't understand why people are trading Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore for bags of chips. I mean, if they weren't already a contender, they're an extreme contender now with those two, and their draft, fantastic.
I honestly, I have to add to that. I don't think the Cowboys ever kind of go down in the offseason. I think they always rebound as hard as possible. I remember watching a game from Deuce Vaughn, I think last year. I'm not sure.
So
I think they were playing Utah, and he was just tearing them up. It was unbelievable. You know, he's short, but he kind of reminds me of a young Darren Sproles, and hopefully he can fit that same career path. But now that that's over with, let's get on the Ravens offseason. This whole Ravens offseason has been a giant mess, if I'm being honest with you. You know, Lamar is asking for a contract all last year. It wasn't coming. He said, you know what, let me play this year. And there's a lot of really, really bad blood during the NFL season. When he played the Bucs and he signed some poster where he seemed upset. It said, pay the man, pay 8. And, you know, it's been hard because the Ravens have really struggled, especially with offense this year. They were not good. They were I don't even know, 27th passing.
I couldn't name a single receiver.
Hundley's not like good enough.
No,
Lamar got hurt. They didn't have receivers.
Exactly.
James Crochet was playing every down.
And exactly. They were. I think they had a 2-month span without a wide receiver touchdown.
Yeah, Andrews was like their offense.
Yeah, that's about it. And then finally, after months and months of waiting, on May 4th, Lamar Jackson is extended to an NFL record deal, 5 years, $260 million, almost fully guaranteed, which I think is crazy. But as a Ravens fan, at least we have some sort of a future now.
He's great.
And then, as soon as that, actually no, sorry, before that, Odell Beckham Jr. had signed with the Ravens for 1 year of $19 million. And that's fully guaranteed as well.
Huge contract.
Say goodbye to that cap space.
For someone who just tore his ACL.
Exactly. I wasn't too fond of it, but when I saw that signing, I was like, you know what? I think Lamar's coming back home. And the whole Ravens offseason have been doing anything to get Lamar back. They signed Trayvon Mullen, which is actually Lamar Jackson's cousin. He was a Raiders cornerback last year. Not too bad, not too good. Marcus Peters is gone in free agency, so they also picked up Rock Ya-Sin, who is also a Raiders cornerback. And they've moved on for a lot of veterans this year. You know, the Ravens released Calais Campbell. That one hurt. That was unfortunate, but I think it's time where they want to refresh and move on. They parted ways with Greg Roman finally.
I know, he was terrible.
Unbelievable.
Awful.
The guy was awful. I was at a game this year when he walked out of that tunnel. Oh, you don't even want to hear the names they were calling him. He was, oh my gosh. And later on, February 19th, they agreed to a contract with former Georgia Bulldogs offensive coordinator Todd Monken to become the next offensive coordinator. And at the time, I wasn't too sure because Lamar wasn't signed, so I was like, oh, here we go. He's going to a whole new offense, a whole new quarterback. And
you also got Antonio Brown.
Sadly, the Ravens had a fantastic offseason. Zay Flowers is great. Odell's great. They're going in this year. I don't know how they're going to be next year. Odell, you know where he's going to be. He's nuts. He could retire. He could go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, they're going to be really good. Now, getting into award winners, right? I have my MVP, who I think should have won last year, is Jalen Hurts. I think he could be the best player in the league. Him and Patrick Mahomes, obviously. 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks, but his rushing, 13 rushing touchdowns. He's dominant. Absolutely dominant. I mean, he's out for revenge, too. They lost the Super Bowl, and he took it like a champ, right?
Absolutely.
He's great. I mean, he balled out in the Super Bowl too. 35 points and you lose. It's
They
unfortunate.
also have like their quarterback sneak. You literally can't stop.
Oh,
can't-
it's unbelievable.
Squats like
Watching
600
that this
pounds.
year in the playoffs.
It's unfair. You can't ban it, but I mean it's unfair. Offensive Player of the Year, your guy Lamar Jackson. I think he's also unbelievable. I mean his running is ridiculous. He has the weapons now with Zay Flowers and Odell. You got Mark Andrews too,
Bateman's
and
in
he's
there as well.
he's also hungry to win. Comeback story,
Dobbins
right?
is healthy.
He missed the last 6 games. Everyone was like, "Oh, Lamar's coming back next week. Lamar's coming back next week. Lamar's going to play against the Bengals." Never, right? Defensive Player of the Year, a little bias here, but T.J. Watt. But I do have a stat that I think will pull you guys over on this one. First off, 22.5 sacks 2 years ago. But this is the big thing. He tore his pec week 1 last year against the Bengals. They won in overtime.
Awful.
After that game, they went 1-6. He didn't play in a single game. Comes back after the bye. What do? 7-2. So 8-2 with T.J. Watt and 1-6 without him. That's what a valuable player is. He's not going to win MVP. He's on defense, but he is the defensive player of the year. If he stays healthy, I don't see how he doesn't win. And then Coach of the Year, I have Dan Campbell. I think he is an awesome leader. Fantastic. I mean, that team was 1-6 last year, and they knocked Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs, right? Final game of the season in Green Bay, he's out. Walk off the field with Randall Cobb. They're going nuts, the Lions. I mean, he has a great team now. They got Jahmyr Gibbs, who was, I mean, at 12 is a little nuts, but I think he's going to be awesome.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
And their team is very well developed. I mean, he developed them very well, and I think I have them as my 3 seed. We'll talk about our predictions later, but I think the Lions are going to be very good, and he's going to be very good.
Yeah, I love Jalen Hurts. He might be like my favorite quarterback right now. Like no hate to Dak, but Jalen
He's
Hurts
unbelievable.
is
Unbelievable.
incredible. But I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna have a really good year.
Yep.
Just like he's got Zay Jones, he's got Christian Kirk. Like now he has Calvin Ridley back too. Like they're just like crazy. Like their offense is stacked. He had 25 touchdowns last year, 8 picks, but he'll definitely get that TD up, and his INTs are definitely going to go down. And they only lost 27-20 in the divisional round to the Super Bowl winning Chiefs, which is incredible. Offensive Player of the Year is my guy Jalen Hurts. He's incredible. Anthony explained him a lot. He's
unbelievable.
He's insane. Defensive Player of the Year, Micah Parsons.
Yep.
My
That's
opinion,
fair.
he's like maybe the most athletic pass rusher like we've seen in a really long time. He had 13.5 sacks last season, 3 fumble recoveries. He also had a touchdown on a crazy play against the Bears. Coach of the Year, I think it's Doug Peterson, the Jaguars coach. Last year they started 3-7, which is terrible. That 7th loss was against the Chiefs. They finished 9-8 and came back from a 27-0 deficit in the wild card round to the Chargers.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley is out of suspension, which I said.
Yep.
I
Him
forgot
and
about
Kirk,
him, too.
unbelievable.
And second year coming, Trayvon Walker is a really good player. He didn't have a very breakout year in his first year, but he'll do really good. Josh Allen's a great linebacker, and Rayshawn Jenkins had a crazy play against Dallas.
Oh, yep, I remember that.
In overtime and sealed the deal for that win.
Yeah, the Jags were a great story last year. 3-8 to 9-8, unbelievable. Once again, the phone lines are open. We're taking calls 201-327-8700. Press 0 and ask for extension 224-225. 201-327-8700. You're listening to the JAB Radio Show on the Northern Highland Sports Net. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to the NHSN Radio on the Northern Highland Sports Net. Welcome back to the JAB Radio Show. Let's go to Brian for a quick 30-second sports update.
Good afternoon. It's 11:23, and I'm Brian Barron, and this is your NHSN Radio Sports Flash. The Minnesota Vikings have removed and deleted all recent pictures and videos and stories of superstar running back Dalvin Cook. After months of trade talk and contract extension talks, it looks like that Cook's time in Minnesota is now coming to an end. It looks like as the Vikings will look either to trade, I doubt they cut them, but I think they either trade him and they're going to stick with their third-year running back Alexander Madison, who succeeded greatly in multiple NFL games last year.
Thank you for that, Brian. And now joining the show, we have New York Jets beat writer Al Iannazzone.
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up? Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So JR's just going to ask you the first question here. We're curious about a lot of things, obviously. Aaron Rodgers.
I used to be like a huge Jet fan before I was a Cowboy fan, and I just want to know like what the atmosphere is like in the facility and like how different it is that Aaron Rodgers is there now.
It's totally different. You know, like when Robert Saleh got there 2 years ago, you could feel something. Then last year, after the draft they had, Sauce, Garrett Wilson, you could feel something different.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's totally different. You know, and you felt it even before then. Like when I was at the owners' meetings in Phoenix, you could see that Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, these guys were so confident they believed they were getting Aaron Rodgers. And then when they finally got him, it was an incredible atmosphere at the press conference. And you see all the things that are going on now, like Aaron Rodgers is there. He's in the building every day. He's working with the teammates. He's going to basketball games with them. He's going to hockey games with them. I mean, he's really all in. And they feel like they can do something special because they got a future Hall of Fame quarterback who is motivated, wants to prove that he still has something left at 39 years old. They got a good young team with a lot of good pieces, veteran-wise, too. So, yeah, this could be a big season for the Jets.
Yeah, you know, I really do think that, too. And so how's it like being in the locker room, right? Like, fourth quarter ends, going to the locker room. How's it like after a win or after a loss? Like,
yeah, that's always, you know, obviously when you win, you hear a lot of cheering outside. Everybody's happy. You know, everybody's talking about how great this was and all the great. When you lose, football is different. I covered basketball. You know, you're upset when you lose a basketball game, but there's 82 of them. In football, every game is huge. So you walk in that locker room and you could just see guys sitting in the locker, head down. They're tired from being, you know, pushed around or pushing people around. And it really weighs on them when they lose, and you feel it. You see it all the time, especially as the season went on, because this was a team that started 7-4. They believed they were going to make the playoffs, and then they lose 6 straight games to end the season. And you know, each game seemed to sting a little more. And quarterback play became an issue, which was why they went all in on Aaron Rodgers. And you know, I think there's going to be a lot more happy times in the locker room this year. I do believe that.
Mm-hmm. I'll hand it over to Brian for a question.
I gotta ask, how do you think the chemistry and brotherhood with this team has really grown over the last 3 years or so? You know, last year it seemed like everyone was ready to roll the first couple of weeks, and you know, bad quarterback play, you know, offense is going downhill, and you kind of just see now, like when Rodgers got there, Sauce Gardner's posting about him, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson. They're all posting about him, and they're all happy, and you know they're posing the cheese heads and stuff. You didn't really see that much from Jets players last year. Do you think they're really excited and ready to go?
Oh, absolutely. And I think they were excited again when they started the way they did, especially with the rookies playing how they were playing. You know, Breece Hall looked like he could have been the offensive rookie of the year if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
And they were a close group. I mean, that locker room was fun. We would go in there. They would be playing cornhole, chess, you know, whatever. It was a lively atmosphere. But again, once you start losing, it takes its toll. But I think absolutely,
They're used to losing.
Rodgers, someone like Aaron Rodgers coming in, it changes everything. And again, you see it. You see how he's at the games. You know, he looks like him and Sauce are building a relationship. He's close with Zach Wilson to begin with. This could be something that benefits the Jets. Now, I can't say how long Zach Wilson is going to be there, but he looked up to Aaron Rodgers when, you know, he was playing football as a kid, and now he's learning from him. So that could be a great experience. I just think everything about this team right now seems to scream that, the long playoff drought is going to end, and it's just about how far can they go.
Yeah, I mean, they're the most talked about sports team maybe in America right now. I mean, New York's a big sports market, and of course the Jets, like Aaron Rodgers, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but you see how it is with the Mets, every team. But now when you get a player like that, a supreme player like that, it's going to change things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you do a ton of stuff for the Jets. I don't know how much you like them, but what do you really think? How good do you think they're really going to be this year?
Yeah, well, we're not supposed to like the teams we cover. We have to be objective. But I think they got a tough schedule, obviously. They're playing the Super Bowl champs. They're playing the Super Bowl runner-up. They're playing in Dallas. A lot of the teams that you guys mentioned earlier, they have to play. But you got to beat those teams. You want to be good, you have to beat the good teams. You have to win at home. I do think that 12-year playoff drought will end, which is, the longest in the NFL right now. They're believing that their 54, 55-year Super Bowl drought can end. Now, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe. They have a lot of obstacles to overcome, but they have a chance to be pretty good if they could host a playoff game. If the Jets could be in the AFC Championship, you never know. Everything has the biggest thing. The offensive line has to protect for him, because we saw the shots last year that Mike White took. Zach Wilson gets hurt. They have to protect Aaron Rodgers. But one thing we know, he's a lot more experienced than those guys. He'll get rid of the ball quicker.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think they got to win a playoff game, right? But do they get a home one? Maybe not. So, how is it different in the locker room, after COVID? So, is it easier to talk to the players? You got any stories or something?
Yeah, it's so much different. The prior 2 years, everything was via Zoom. Like last year at the end of the season was the first time we stood next to Mekhi Becton, 6'7", 300-plus pounds. He's huge, right? And what it allows you to do to be in the locker room is you can start building relationships with these guys, talk to them about things other than football. I'll give you a perfect example. I don't know if you guys know this, but Anthony is a Steeler fan, and I grew up a Steeler fan. And when you're a Steeler fan, you hate the Ravens. And Joe Flacco is a really nice guy. And I went over to him one day. He was by himself. And I said, Joe, I got to tell you something. In my house, we were taught to hate you. And he just started laughing. He's like, why? I said, we're Steeler fans in my house. And, and we just started going back and forth. How'd you become a Steeler fan? Then he's telling me about the games, and I said, yeah, I remember some games where you crushed us and stuff like that. And then other things. Mike White's a guy who, he's a baseball player before he was a football player, and he was almost drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays, but he decided to go football. So I would always talk to him about baseball. And I found out that he played with Louis Guillorme with the Mets and Nestor Cortez with the Yankees, and we're talking all during the play. Nothing about football, just all during the playoffs. And then when the time came, for me to go over and do a story on him, when the Jets named him the starting quarterback, he gave me a great anecdote about how he and his wife were shopping in the mall when they found out that, he got a call from Robert Saleh that he was going to start that week against the Bears. And he said, we didn't know what to do. We were so happy. We were walking around the mall aimlessly. We got in a car. We were driving around. We didn't know where we were going. We were so something like that may not happen over Zoom, because all you're looking at is a bunch of, big fat heads on the screen instead of having that ability to go up to them and have a one-on-one conversation. So it's so much better covering. And I think that, the stories they came out this year through all of sports were so much better than the past couple of years when everything is just done in a group setting.
Yeah, I mean, that Joe Flacco story is great. He's a great guy. But, yeah, we were taught to hate him. Last thing before you go, Super Bowl. Who's winning it?
I hate going against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I think if anybody could beat him, it's either Burrow or Josh Allen. But I think, my prediction last year was Bills, San Francisco. I'm going to go Kansas City, San Francisco this year, and I see Kansas City winning because of quarterback play.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. We really appreciate it. This was fun. Reminder, the phone lines are open and we are taking your calls. Call the number 201-327-8700. Press 0 and ask for extension 224 or 225. Again, that's 201-327-8700. You're listening to the JAB Sports Radio Show on the Northern Highlands Sports Network. We'll be right back after this.
These are the sounds of someone taking their eyes off the road. Texting while driving is more than distracting. It's dangerous. Do yourself a favor. Do us all a favor. When you're on the road, stay off the phone. A message from CTIA, America's Wireless Companies, and the National Safety Council.
Nicotine, cadmium, benzene, ammonia, arsenic, formaldehyde, hydrogen cyanide, carbon monoxide. These are just a few of the 7,000 chemicals that can be traced from cigarettes. Tobacco-related deaths are expected to rise to around 8 million annual deaths worldwide by the year 2030. Put down the cigarette and don't be one of those people.
You're listening to the NHSN radio on the Northern Highlands Sports Net. Welcome back to the JAB show. Here's Brian with a sports update.
Good afternoon. It's 11:35, and I'm Brian Barron, and this is your NHSN Radio Sports Flash. NFL wide receiver Davante Adams comes out by saying he doesn't see eye to eye with the Raiders front office. This comes from months of the league vet receiver being barred from team decisions and helping the process, and the Raiders are cutting Derek Carr, Adams' college best friend and quarterback, and Adams looks to be upset with the team.
All right, now we're going to be taking callers.
See who's our first caller.
Hi, this is Ron from Upper Saddle River. How you doing, guys?
Ron from Upper Saddle River. What's up? How are you?
All right. I'm honored to be on the air. Thanks for taking my call.
We're honored to take you. Thank you.
Whether or not you guys know what you're getting, life skills and public speaking, which is more important than anything else, more important than a click or two on the GPA. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was football, but with a baseball analogy.
Okay.
We have Mr. Verlander and Mr. Scherzer pitching for the Mets.
Yeah.
What do these guys have in common? They're both 40.
Yep, they're both old.
40-ish. Not as old as your celebrity guest, Mr. Anazone, but they're getting up and they're getting shelled, and I think, age is a major part of it.
Uh-huh.
Going over to football, everybody's excited about Mr. Rogers coming over to the Jets. I just don't see it. I don't see him being able to make it through the season. I mean, they got a tough schedule, a lot of tough defenses. They got number 11 over in Dallas is going to be taking shots at him. I don't know. At his age, an NFL quarterback, it's a rare thing. I know Tom Brady did it. Rogers, different type of player. I don't know if he could, if he's going to do it.
And that's fair. Like, I don't like the Jets personally, and I don't want to believe that they can be good. And there's a possibility that they aren't good because Rodgers was not that good last year. But I mean, you got to think they're a very talented team. So I hear where you're coming from. I only had them as my 5 seed. I could see there's a world where they made the playoffs, but I mean it's a reality where they're not good and they go another year without making the playoffs, and then everyone's in trouble.
Yeah, like I'm a Cowboys fan. I hate Aaron Rodgers. He always beats them, but I don't know. His year like wasn't really that good last year, but he's also changing his number, which is gonna be weird. So maybe he won't get used to New York. Maybe he'll suck. Might be
Yeah,
bad.
like I said, they start out with pretty tough schedule, a lot of tough defenses.
Yeah.
And, you see these baseball guys can't keep up at that age, and that's not, as physically as demanding of a sport. He's going to have some pretty big dudes running at him full speed.
I gotta
see it happening. I think they gave up too much.
I gotta add to that with the Rodgers. I agree with you. I don't think the Jets are going to start out as hot as people are saying. You have Breece Hall, who is our whole rushing attack last year, coming off a torn ACL. So probably for the first 1 to 6 weeks of the season, I think Rodgers is going to be slinging the football like crazy. I think he's going to be throwing it like crazy. I don't think they're going to run that much. And even when they do run without Breece Hall, their rushing attack is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
So I think Rodgers is going to get worn out pretty quick, and I think his help will come on eventually. But is it going to be too late?
Thank you so much, Ron.
If memory serves, I think they lost a lineman, a lineman or two as well.
Yeah, this team they're an interesting team. I mean, they're either going to be great or they could stink. Thank you so much for calling, Ron. We got to take one more call. The phone lines are open, and we are taking your calls. 201-327-8700. Press 0 and ask for extension 224 or 225. Again, 201-327-8700, and our next caller should be here shortly.
Thomas from HHK.
Hello?
What's up?
Is this JAB show?
Yes, it is.
Oh. So I have a question for you fellas. My name is Tom, and what's up with the Mets?
I don't.
Stink.
Last night was great, though. If you saw that. I mean,
Last night, is that a turning point or what?
it's
Better
got to be. Down 2-0. The rookie who just got called up, it's a home run. Down 5-2 in the 9th inning. Another rookie hits a 3-run home run with 2 outs. And then down 2 in the 10th inning,
Big Pete.
the best first baseman in the league, hits it into the 3rd deck. And we beat the best team in baseball. That was an incredible win.
Well, are they going to gain some momentum from this or what?
They better. Like Pete always gets hype when he gets these like big plays, and he's the leader. He's got to hype everyone up.
They've been sucking real bad lately. I mean, they lost 3 straight before last night. They're losing. They're getting swept by the Tigers. They're losing series to the Nationals. I mean, their pitching stinks. Just like Mr. Ron said, Verlander and Scherzer, they're 40 years old and they're doing terrible. Kodai Senga pitched great last night. I think he had 12 or 13 strikeouts, but it has to be a turning point for this team. It has to be. I mean, if you could win today, get this series, that'd be unbelievable. Then you
Best
go
team
in, you
in
got
baseball.
Cleveland over the weekend. They're a tough team, but with the NL East right now and how good it's doing, honestly, I mean, the Mets are in 4th. They're not a 4th-place team. They're 1st or 2nd. The Braves are a little better, but if the Mets can get into the playoffs, I think they got a shot. And
You got to get hot at the right time.
this is that last game. Like, we will know by the next week if this team is for real or not. If they win 5 out of their next 7, okay. But if they lose today and then lose tomorrow, and they're done. They need to build on this. And you brought up a great point. This is huge. They need to build on this.
Yeah, we got to go to a game soon.
We have to. I think Memorial Day weekend.
All right, so the pitching's got to come through big time.
It does. Jose Quintana from St. Louis hasn't even pitched yet. The only guy that's really been consistent, fingers crossed, knock on table, knock on wood, because, I mean, whatever you say, you jinx. Kodai Senga has been fantastic.
Am I still on hold?
No, we're still here.
Sorry. There's an echo.
What do you think of they're hitting right now?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? There's an echo in the background.
What do you think of their hitting right now? Hitting.
What do you think of their hitting right now?
I think we might have lost him. We got to go to our next caller.
All right, sorry, Tom.
Sorry, Tom.
This is this should be the last caller.
Jimmy Ken.
Hello, who is this? Sammy from Allendale? Hello?
Hello?
Sammy from Allendale?
Sammy from Ellendale. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's up?
Yo, JR, I was wondering
Yep.
if the Dallas Cowboys could win the Super Bowl next year. And what are your takes on that?
I mean, yeah, they obviously can. They have like the talent and everything. They have all the pieces, but their coaching's not very good. I don't like Mike McCarthy, and they always they're the Cowboys. Like they haven't made the NFC Championship in like 30 years. They just
Yeah, I feel you
never
on
get
that.
it done.
What do you think about Dak Prescott as being like a franchise quarterback? You think he could be like the franchise quarterback that he is?
I mean, yeah, they paid him all that money for 4 years, but like last year he had a league leading like 17 interceptions, and he just he's a great leader. Like he loves Dallas, he wants to win, but hopefully he could turn it up next year or this year. But also he got hurt last year in the beginning of the year, which kind of like messed up his thumb, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
That's all we have today for our callers. Thank you to Ron, Tom, and Sammy for all calling in. That was great. Great part of the segment. We got about 10, 11 minutes left, and we're all, me, Brian, and JR, just going to run through our predictions. Playoffs into wild card, divisional, championship, and then the Super Bowl. I'm just going to run through mine real quick, try to get through this. For the AFC, I have the Chiefs as my 1 seed, finishing 14-3. Self-explanatory. The Bengals as my 2, finishing 13-4. I think that division is very competitive this year. Obviously, I have a little bias for my Steelers. You'll see them later on. The Ravens, I think, are going to be very good. You'll also see that later on. And the Bengals, I think, are incredible. I think Joe Burrow's a top 3 quarterback in the league. They have 2 awesome wide receivers. Mixon is still there. Might be his last year. This is the year they go all in. The Bills at 3, 12-5. The Bills are the Bills. They have Josh Allen.
Diggs.
They have Stephon Diggs. They're incredible. I don't know if this is their year, though. Then the 4, I have the Jags at 12-5. Another fantastic team. Trevor Lawrence is great. Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley are going to be great. But can they win a playoff game? And 5, I have the talk of the town, the New York Jets. I hate the Jets. People who know me well know I hate the Jets, but you have to put them in the playoffs. They're too talented of a roster. You got to put them in the playoffs. They have their first 4 weeks are rough. They got the Chiefs, Patriots, the Cowboys, and the Bills. It could be 0-4, but it could also be 3-1. 6, I have the Ravens. I'm high on the Ravens. I think they're really good. I think they got the weapons. I think they have a fantastic quarterback. And 7, sorry, but I have the Steelers. People are sleeping on them. I think they could be a little higher than 7. I didn't want to put them up there because I think that'd be too biased, but people are sleeping on them. They have a complete offense for the first time since the Killer Bees in 17-18. Pickett is the one thing holding them back, and his at the end of the year last year was awesome. It was awesome. Going into my actual playoff predictions, I have the Jets beating Jacksonville, the Ravens beating the Bills. I really like the Ravens this year, and the Steelers beating the Bengals. And then I have the Bengals beating the Jets, and then I have the Ravens going into Kansas City and winning. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But
They're not.
I think if Kansas City can't host the 6th straight AFC Championship game, they can't. I can't watch that anymore. So part of that's a little of me what I want, but I think if there's one of 2 teams in the AFC that can go into Kansas City and win, and it's the Ravens and Bengals. And it so happened that I had the Ravens going in there and winning. And then I have the Bengals beating the Ravens in Cincinnati to go to the Super Bowl. Quickly run over my NFC. I have the Niners at 1. I think whoever gets the 1 seed makes the Super Bowl. So there you go. My Super Bowl is Niners Bengals. But let's run through the rest real quick. Eagles 2, Lions 3, 11-6. I talked earlier about Dan Campbell. I think he's great. I think they're great. The Saints at 4. That division is awful. I have the Falcons going 3-14. People think they're going to be all right. They're terrible.
No, they're awful.
The Bucks suck. The Panthers suck. At the Panthers, I think they could.
I think
I got to
Derek
disagree
Carr
with that.
sucks.
I think the Panthers are going to have something going this year. I really do. Listen, their wide receivers are not good, but their defense was under the radar last year. They were a borderline top 15, top 10 defense, and their offensive line was a top 10 offensive line. If they can get it going, they can win games.
I think they could win the division, but
Yeah,
I have the Saints just because of the quarterback and Derek Carr. I like the veteran. I think that experience is going to get them there. Hopefully, Michael Thomas can stay healthy.
Also, if like Kamara doesn't get suspended.
Yeah,
like,
we'll see about that. But
Kamara's,
they have
like,
Jamal
top
Williams.
But that's why they got Jamal
They have
Williams.
Jamal Williams. At 5, I have Dallas. I feel like they're always a 5 seed. The last 2 years, they were 3 a few years ago because Philly wasn't any good. But I have them at 5. Then I have Minnesota at 6. And at 7, I was between the Giants and the Eagles, or not the Eagles, and the Packers. But I went with the Giants. I think the Giants get in for a second straight year, but I don't think they do much.
I have the Vikings at 6-11. So
Oof. Yeah, that's no.
I don't think
No.
they're gonna do that.
NFC, I got the Cowboys going to New Orleans and winning by
Yep.
45. Then the Lions and the Vikings, which I think will be an incredible game. Lions winning. And the Eagles beating the Giants. Then Niners beating the Cowboys for the 3rd straight year. Sorry, JR. Eagles beating the Lions in the revenge game of Philly and San Francisco, this time in San Francisco. Niners win. Super Bowl, Niners, Bengals, and the Niners, who have the most talented team that I may have ever seen.
They don't have a
win the Super
quarterback.
Bowl.
Though.
What do you mean? He
No,
went 8-0 last year.
But I don't know. Those type of injuries to quarterbacks, it takes a toll on your career. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they hang on to Lance, and I think they get Lance going too. And I think you might just see a dual
don't
quarterback
know.
split and see. I don't think Purdy. I think it'd be Lance show the first couple of weeks and see how he does. But obviously when Purdy comes back, they're gonna give him the rock.
So who do you guys? I want to hear what you guys have.
Yeah,
We could argue about this.
AFC, by far the AFC's a million times
They
better
are.
than the NFC.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course they are.
Obviously, 1, Mahomes and the Chiefs, 13-4, like no doubt. 2, Bengals, 13-4. Burrow, he's a winner. Jaguars at 3 at 12-5, just like Anthony, but I think they'll sneak out the 3 seed.
That's fair.
Bills as the 4, also at 12-5. I like Josh Allen. I think he's good. He just hasn't like proved himself as a real winner
I
yet.
don't think this is their year.
I think,
Fantastic.
in my opinion, I might get heat for this one, but I think the Bills might suck next year. And I only say that
Their
because
floor's like 8-9, maybe 7.
yeah, that's what I mean. That's the Bills' version of sucking, is being 8-9 or 8-8, whatever it is. It's because they're having Josh Allen try to play like he's Superman every game. And listen, the last 2 months of the season, he played through that the same injury that Brock Purdy had, just wasn't as severe. And they don't run the ball at all. They never run the ball. And when they
Who's
do,
their running back?
James Cook, the guy that was pissed that he got drafted by him. Listen. They don't run the ball, and when they pass the ball, they're expecting him to play like Superman every game. Listen, he's probably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, but you can't keep putting that workload on him every game and expecting him to go down and win every single game. It's a team effort, and I hope next year they can get that going, because otherwise they're in trouble.
Yeah, the Dolphins at the 5, 12-5. They just got the weapons. They got Hill. They got Waddle.
The AFC is so good.
They have Ramsey now.
There are like
very
12
good.
teams that could make the playoffs. I had the Dolphins at 9-8.
I did too.
That's fine with them going there. I'm
And
fine with that.
Brian's Ravens at 6, 11-6. Just
Fair.
love
Fair.
Lamar Jackson.
I had
He's
the
good
same
if
thing
they
with 12 and 5.
if he stays healthy, they could be like a top 3 team maybe in the NFL. And obviously, you got to go with the Jets at the 7
have to.
at 11-6.
I don't want to, but you have to.
I mean,
Run over your
I
other side.
think Aaron Rodgers will be fine. Like the Jets have the weapons too, which is crazy, and their defense is just so young and so good. And I have the Ravens beating the Jaguars in the wild card.
Fair.
Bengals beating the Jets.
Yep.
The Bills beating the Dolphins.
That's fair.
Then I got the Chiefs beating the Ravens at home.
That's fair, but I
Bengals beating
disagree.
the Bills at home, and I got the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And I think Joe Burrow, this is just the year. He's going to go back to the Super Bowl and prove himself. NFC got the 49ers at 1 with 13-4. Eagles at 13-4 in the 2. 3, the Lions 11-6. Very
Same
underrated. 4, Panthers at 6-11. Division sucks, but I think Bryce Young's going to do good. 5, Cowboys 11-6. Think they could do better, but I think they'll go 11-6. The 6, I have the Seahawks at 10-7. Their wide receiver trio is great with Metcalf, Lockett, and Smith and Jigba. And I gotta have the Giants in the playoffs. Their coaching's incredible, and Daniel Jones is the guy. I think he's really good. I got the Cowboys obliterating the Panthers in the first round. Got the Eagles killing the Giants in the first round, and the Lions beating the Seahawks in the first round. I got the Cowboys beating the Niners. I know none of you like that, but
Not happening.
I don't know. I just think it. The Eagles obviously are going to kill the Lions at home, and the Eagles are going to kill the Cowboys.
When the Eagles are at home, they're not losing.
And I think Joe Burrow gets it done and wins the Super Bowl this year.
To go off myself, I'll spice it up. I'll start with the NFC instead of the AFC.
All right.
I think Eagles fall short again of another perfect season, but I have the Eagles going 16-1. There's no way. There's no way. They draft Howie Roseman, I think they were what 11-2 last year, and they were calling for him to get fired. And I think he just took it personally and just went crazy in the draft all season. Darius Slay was almost signing with the Ravens. He pulled him back in, brought him back to Philly. I think it's a culture you want to be there. And I think my 2 seed for the NFC, I have the Lions. I think the Lions are going to shock the world again. I think they're going to go 13-4. Jared Goff played amazing football last year, and no one appreciates that. No one mentions it. No one talks about it. And he did amazing. And I have San Fran going 12-5. I think San Fran will get it going again. Their defense just carries them every time, to be honest with you. So I think that'll be, and then I think that they'll just keep it going with that. And then I think the Saints sneak it in. I agree with Anthony. I think the Saints will sneak it in at 4. Yeah. I think Derek Carr can get something going over there. He's got something to prove, and he's getting there. But I have the Eagles. Winning all the way through up to the NFC Championship. I think they beat the Lions. I think it's going to be an Eagles-Lion NFC Championship.
That's fair.
I think that'd be a fun game to watch. And
I like golf.
I think Eagles go on. They finish the season at 16-1. And now and over to AFC, I got the Chiefs at 1. It's just they never every season they lose someone. They get them someone better 10 times better, and they do it with no money too, which makes no sense. They just do it every year. I have the Chiefs going 13-4. Just because AFC is a lot harder than the NFC. I have them going 13-4. At my 2, I'm going to be biased. I have the Ravens. I think the Ravens will be 13-4 as well, or 13-3-1. I think they could do done.
So who do you have your Super Bowl?
I'm going to have I think as much as I want the Ravens to be there, I think Jacksonville is going to surge through the playoffs, and I think they might surprise a lot of people. And I think it's going to be an Eagles-Jacksonville Super Bowl. But I think the Eagles will end up winning the Super Bowl again.
So we got Eagles, Bengals, and Niners. That's fair. I think those are the 3 best teams in the league, in my opinion. And the Chiefs. Yeah, sadly, it's none of our teams this year. It's not going to happen. Well, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the first ever Northern Highlands radio show, the JAB radio show. I would love to do this again. This was awesome. Yeah. We had a whole lot of fun talking football. Thank you to Al Anzone of Newsday for coming in. That was fun. Learning all those stories. That Joe Flacco story was funny. And make sure to watch the other 5 shows, including the Sports Guys tomorrow with Ryan, Sammy, and Mike. That's going to be a good one. We got 5 more left, and this was the first one. Thank you so much for tuning in.